All right, welcome to the last project we're going to do with the Bill of Rights. So now that we've thought about whether or not we ought to update the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, to reflect modern realities, it's time to do something about it. Okay. One of the best ways to get politically involved is to reach out to politicians and let them know what you think. Okay. You can do that through letters, you can do it through emails, you can do it through phone calls, online petitions. There's tons and tons of ways to do it. But what we're going to do for today, for this week, is we're going to write letters, right? Which is a little bit old school. Okay, it's a little bit old school. You probably don't do that very often, or maybe have never really done it. But what a letter is sometimes it's a page, sometimes it's more, where you're reaching out to somebody in writing to talk to them about something, right? I write letters to everybody from my dad or my grandma to politicians, just to whomever, sometimes to my friends, right? Most of the time when you're writing letters, you're reaching out to people you already know, like I said, family members or friends, but sometimes you're going to do it in a more formal way. Right? I've also, for example, had to write letters to parents of students. So we're going to be writing to our senators, though, for Washington State. Okay, and the goal is just to let them know what you think. We're going to use that CER paragraph from the discussion board, but you might want to tweak it potentially, and that's okay, especially if you feel like you got some really good feedback from your classmates. Okay, or from me. So I've given you a handout there that you can use to help you create a rough draft of your letter, right? And then you're going to create a final draft. You're going to share that final draft with me, and then I'd also love it if you mailed it out. Not going to require that, just because that does require knowing how to mail out a letter, and I know some of you might not know how to do that, or your parents or other people around you might not know. But it also requires just a little bit of cash. These days I think it's about 50 or 60 cents to mail out a letter. Okay, so I don't want to say yes you have to, just in case there's folks there for whom that might potentially be a struggle. But if you do mail it and you do hear back, I'd love to hear what response you get. Okay, if you've never written a letter before, by the way, here in the middle of the page, I give you an example, okay, just to get you started. You're welcome to steal mine and tweak it, or to not and do it from scratch. If you're one of those kids who's had to write letters before, maybe you already kind of know how you would do this. Okay, but here we go in the black. That's our example. Okay. Again, I would encourage you to send it out, and to that end, down at the bottom of the page here, I have gone ahead and put the local offices for our senators. These are our senators who go to Washington, D.C. Okay, but these are their local offices because they keep offices at several spots in the state, and then they also have offices in DC. Okay, and the folks in the local office, they sort through stuff and then they pass it on to the senator. And sometimes you'll get responses directly from them. I've written letters before, and sometimes I get form responses, and sometimes I get something a little more personal. Right? One time I wrote to, I think it was Patty Murray, actually, and asked for pocket constitutions for a class that I was teaching, and they sent me a whole box. Her office did, right? I've written to Adam Smith, who's my representative in the House of Representatives, and gotten letters back. So I'd love to hear what you hear back. If you've got questions, if you need help with this, go ahead and just reach out, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in class.